Today's episode was brought to you by nobody. Stop obsessing over your specs. That's more for me than for you. You know, this is the we used to use for chemical weapons in like World War I. In 1996. Damn it, Saddam. And now we just spray the all over our bodies. So the entire point of today is to get some sick photos in, but also I want to show you guys the Fuji X100F. I know every hipster across YouTube has already done a video on this, but I just kind of wanted to remind everyone and myself, it's not all about specs. So if you're like me and you're a child, you obsess over, or you would have been obsessing over the best specs and the best camera and the best lenses, and then you go and buy it and you spend a bunch of money, and then you go, why did I do that? I don't have any more money, and I still am not happy with photography. Or, I mean, yeah, it's fun for like a day or two, but you start to realize, was that really worth it? I don't think so. So that has been something that I've been trying to understand and actually embody. And this is the first camera to kind of make me realize that. So we're gonna be shooting this. We're over here at the Red River Wildlife Refuge, world famous, and we're gonna try to take some pictures that aren't bad. So I'm not really gonna go over any of the specs or any of that, because that's all I used to care about. And I know I used to hate when people would be like, look, I'm not really a spec guy. And I'd sit there and I'd be like, it's probably because you're stupid. Everyone knows the specs, bro. It was me. I was the one who was stupid. So we're going over with the Fuji X100F. The only little attachments I've gotten so far, and this is mostly for fun, this is what I'm starting to realize, is get a camera that you're going to take everywhere because it's fun, not because it has the best specs or anything. So I love the way this camera looks, feels. All the buttons are like super clicky. It's just tactile feedback. It's just kind of fun to have. I got a little third-party button, a shutter release button. Got me a little arm rest, or wrist strap, not an armrest, and then this little lens hood. And then I also have a Tiffin diffusion filter on there. I don't know if you can see any of that, but that's what I have. And I'm just using that to kind of soften some of the colors a little bit. We have kind of harsh lighting. I'm sure you're starting to see that now. Not consistent, so the light's going to constantly be changing, which is okay. It's just going to suck for me trying to record this, but outside of that, we're just going to see what happens. I take this thing absolutely everywhere. It's so compact, light. It's like smaller than my phone. Obviously it's thicker, but this is the phone everyone takes everywhere. This is the camera. So we're gonna mostly shoot in JPEG today, just to take advantage of some of those Fuji film simulations, and then I also have a few that I've gotten from the Fuji X Weekly website, so I'll put those down in the description. Oh, there's actually one more that I've been using that isn't on that website, and I'll post those settings and a link to that guy's video as well. But yeah, let's walk around and take some pictures. So what I like to do is I like to turn up the ISO on this just to get a little bit more grain. I normally shoot anywhere between about 2,000 to up to like 8 or 10,000, whatever I'm kind of feeling. If we're doing night photography, I'll be in the upper levels just to kind of get more of a film grain on top of the simulation or the recipe. So yeah, I just like to do that to kind of give it more of a organic feel. And yeah, I'll shoot at f2 to f4 just to get a little bit softer look around anything that's not in focus, and then obviously high grain, and it kind of gives you that film feel without being too much, I would say. I don't want it to look too lo-fi. I'm not trying to impress anyone at the Mac DeMarco concert, so yeah. It really does, if you're in a place that doesn't have crazy lighting, it really does kind of add a little bit to that. So it's kind of like cheating. If you don't have great lighting, which if you did have great lighting, don't get me wrong, it looks that much better. But if you don't have great lighting, it kind of helps you not have the worst pictures ever taken, ever. So yeah, let's move on. Like this are absolutely perfect to take advantage of. So you have little pockets of light, and that looks great on this diffusion filter. So I always try to, pretty much the way I shoot is I walk around, and if I see a little patch of light hitting something and it's different than everything else around, I figure it's probably an image there. So a little situation like this might seem pretty boring, something you would walk right past, but take a second, take a look at it, and just really try to see if there's anything you can take out of that. And with this little camera and a little film simulation, there pretty much is every time. Doesn't it just look cool? Very basic, but still kind of cool. So I think it's super important. If you're barely starting out with photography, I think it's extremely important to kind of snap out of that gear lust that a lot of us go through. I still do it to this day, and probably always going to be that way to a certain extent, but the quicker you can figure out that it's really not about your gear. I hate saying that because it sounds so cliche. Like, you always hear people like, hey man, best camera you got, it's one in your pocket, and you're probably sitting there like, shut up, stupid YouTuber with a bunch of money. Coming from someone who doesn't have all that money, if you invest in something properly, and I mean that in a sense of like, this camera, very fun to shoot with, clicky, tactile feedback, and then you have the film simulations, and you're not gonna have the sharpest photos, you're not gonna have the craziest low light performance, HDR, any of that. But that's not the point. You really want to invest in what you know you're gonna use. There's a wasp. Don't get all the crazy lenses and the crazy specs. If you're still trying to find what you're trying to do, what your style is, just get something that you're gonna take everywhere and appreciate. And it's extremely hard to actually embody that and feel it. Like, it's easy to understand, like, duh, yeah, don't buy what you don't need, but to actually act on that is another level, and it's hard to do that, especially when you're just starting out. So hopefully this helps someone, one of the 13 people watching this. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, but at least try to double check. There's a wasp. Try to really think about why you have what you have, why you're using what you're using, what you actually care about, and don't do the whole like, So yeah, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, try something like this out. Get a used camera that came out a few years ago. I'm not saying just get any crappy Rebel T2i with the kit lens. I'm saying don't be so obsessed with the new Sony A9 or the new Canon whatever. Just look at something that was respected, get it used, that's a few years old, and learn with that. Don't learn with the coolest new thing, because you might realize, damn, I didn't actually need that, or I'm so terrible at photography that I'm not even taking advantage of this 900 shots a second HD 8K CMOS sensor. Like, none of that matters. And you're gonna start to realize a lot of people that are out there that are just getting big with their photography, that are just on that cusp of making it, they have the same gear you do. And not talking to the person who doesn't have, like, I'm talking to the people who don't have the coolest stuff. I see so many people. I'm actually gonna link one guy. He shoots a lot with a lot of the very, very accessible gear, a lot of used gear, and his videos look like a damn movie. So I'm gonna link his below, or it's probably gonna pop up on the screen because I forgot his username. I just started watching his stuff not too long ago. He does a lot of Fuji stuff. You don't need a Fuji for this stuff. He just kind of makes it known, or makes it very... He's a perfect example of someone using limited gear, or not necessarily limited. The cameras he's using are great. It's just, they're so much cheaper than everything else. They're not crazy. They don't have the coolest specs or anything. And at the end of the day, he's still making content that most people can't. So that's about it. It's pretty much the only reason why I started this video. And there's a bunch of people coming, so.